Welcome into the morning after show presented by West Virginia on SI. West Virginia gets a big road win at Cincinnati, 31-24. Let's look at the stats real quick before we get into it. West Virginia was outgained in total yards, 436 to 248. Cincinnati did better in the air, 279 to 156, and had a better rushing game than the Mountaineers, 157 to 92. One of the crazier stats is Cincinnati had 24 first downs to West Virginia's 9, but the big stat of the day was West Virginia forced 3 turnovers, while big important momentum swing turnover against West Virginia, Nico's interception there as they were trying to put the game away. And kind of wish Skylar was here, but congratulate him and Madeline for their new daughter, Everly, firstborn. Very happy for them. She looks absolutely adorable, but going to kind of give him a little bit of hard time here. Seeing a lot of people saying that they went conservative there at the end of the game, but let's break this down a little bit here before we get towards the end. Was at the game. Nipper Stadium is a small stadium, very intimate setting. The fans are right up on the field, and it's loud in there. It is definitely a loud venue when that place is packed, and you could tell Cincinnati really wanted that game, especially after the drubbing they took last year in Morgantown. I believe it was 42-7 entering into the fourth quarter, and it ended 42-21. West Virginia put up over 400 rushing yards in that game, and I bring that up because they definitely had the mentality to stop West Virginia's rushing attack. I can think of 2 runs yesterday that were really nice by Jaheim White, and they came on consecutive runs right after Sorsby's fumble. And I believe that was his second turnover in 4 plays after he just had that pick six at Anthony Wilson. And kind of going into that, the offense obviously from the stats was flat. They really from the start of the game, West Virginia lacked energy. Um, and it comes at a surprise that the defense is the one that sparked the team, especially after the firing of Jordan Leslie on the bye week. And, you maybe had a thought that, okay, maybe that will provide a spark within that unit. They gave up a lot of yards. There was definitely some head scratching plays there, definitely some moments that the defense just kind of looked silly at times. And for Anthony Wilson to get that pick, KK Tarnu providing the pressure, forcing Sorsby to make a bad decision. And that was kind of what West Virginia did all day defensively. They applied a lot of pressure. They were going to kind of win or lose on that philosophy on Saturday, and it paid off for them with 3 big turnovers, two defensive scores. Hasn't happened since 2001 against Rutgers and that horrendous 3-8 season, but randomly they put up 8 points against Rutgers. So no surprise that was the game. That was the last time. It was no surprise that was the game that ended up happening in. But going back to the beginning, the lack of energy was definitely a concern. I mean, the one that pick six. I mean, Cincinnati was going down to score. I mean, it could have been 14-0 there, and in the blink of an eye, that 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 touchdown kind of went 17 unanswered points there going into halftime, and you could kind of see it resonate with the offense a little bit. They were moving the ball, but really, again, it kind of goes back to Cincinnati was determined to take away West Virginia's rushing attack. Corleone in the middle for Cincinnati had a big day. He's a big man, and he was kind of clogging up a lot of those runs. Great play by the linebackers. But regardless, that offense looked horrendous. Neil Brown talked about it after the game. He was not pleased with the offense. But at the end of the day, as the head coach, he's excited about to win. And really, that's the biggest takeaway from this game is, look, defensively, they've been bad. They weren't that great, really, against Cincinnati. Kind of get back to some of those silly plays, but forcing pressure and making Sorsby make decisions quickly. They did adjust in the second half, but in the end, West Virginia got the win. But it it was refreshing to see them not just sit back and wait for something to happen. They were on the attack, and I think that was really one of the bigger takeaways was they attacked the offense instead of setting back, dropping 8, or sitting back waiting for the play to happen in front of them, keeping everything in front of them. So it looks like they talked about it afterwards. Tyron Bradley talked about it a little bit. Anthony Wilson talked about it a little bit. Um, and then I talked about with Eugene what I wanted to see on the pregame show during the week was getting them lined up and getting them prepared, getting the play call in, getting lined up. And you could see a big improvement there this week. And on top of that, they didn't really change a lot, but they did disguise things better. And it seemed to have some effect on Cincinnati at times. And you could kind of see with that pressure that they were able to disguise some of their blitzes. I know me and Skylar kind of talked about that earlier in the year and going into the season really that they needed to disguise some of the blitzes. There was a lot of tells on where the blitz was coming from, and they were able to pick them up. And you just weren't getting the pressure and kind of leaving guys on an island or just too much time for them to get open. It's really hard to cover for a receiver 5-6 seconds down the field. They're eventually going to break open. They have all the advantages in the world when it comes to the rules nowadays. So getting that pressure was obviously big. Second half, West Virginia starts out. First drive, they go right down and score. And then they hold Cincinnati again, and it looks like they were just going to put the game away. But Nico's interception really swung the game into Cincinnati's favor. They get the interception, first play, 80 yards. Kind of picked on Garnett Hollis a lot this year, but he was wide open. It's not why I'm picking on Garnett, but he had a chance to not let him go into the end zone. There was two guys there, and I don't know what they were thinking. If they thought he was just going to run out of bounds, if they thought he had it contained, they just ran right by him. Not really sure what happened there, but that was just horrendous defense on that part. And I know there's a lot of people that thought West Virginia went conservative, but if you go back and look, they actually tried to throw the ball, especially there in the fourth quarter on second down, and Nico got sacked. I mean, when the offense is just flat, it's just flat, and they were awful. Nothing could get going. Nico was off all first half. He hit some big passes in the second half to move the ball to keep the field position, but overall, when you can't get the running game going, and it was a little surprising because Cincinnati's rush defense was one of the worst in the Big 12. But that's what kind of brings me back to last year when they ran over for 400 yards. Obviously, they took that personal. That defense took it personal. It was obviously a point of emphasis. So little things like that matter, and I don't think the offense rose to the challenge. And offensive line started off well, but they haven't really lived up to what I thought they would be this year. I thought they would be, I don't know if a better unit, but maybe just as good as last year. And they just didn't really meet the challenge against Cincinnati yesterday. But I also talked with Eugene on the pregame show about, if they can't, they got to do something on these road games. I talk about special teams, and special teams really helped. Preston Fox, two big returns. He took a big hit on that punt return, but they got it over the 50. So winning that field position all day, forcing Cincinnati to drive down the field, making them through the next snap was big. So I am not in agreement. They got conservative again in the fourth quarter when they were trying to find the spark. They dropped back to pass. Nico got sacked on second down. They didn't wait till third down. Now, some of the play calling, yes, it's easy to nitpick that. Hindsight's always 2020. Didn't like some of the routes the receivers run, whether they just did it wrong or that's how the concept was. They seem to be bunched in a couple of times in certain situations, either on the right side, left side. They all kind of seem to be kind of congregate together. And a couple deep passes over the middle, they were right next to each other. So that's something that they're going to have to clean up, whether it was just trying to throw something in this week against Cincinnati, or is this maybe Cincinnati just bumped them into kind of those situations is also in play there. But I think at the end of the day, if you went into this game and you just rattled off all those stats that West Virginia was only going to have 92 yards rushing, they were only going to have 9 first downs, they were going to be outgained 436 to 248, you probably would have said that they're just going to get blown out. And really, it felt like that at the beginning. But defense wins the day. They find a way to win. Yes, they gave up a lot of yards, but those 3 turnovers. Kind of reminds me of what Oklahoma State has done to teams over the years. They'd give up yards but find takeaways and find ways to give the offense a chance to win. But the defense matched what's the offense in touchdowns. So definitely, you just got to be happy about a win. A team like Cincinnati that's been under West Virginia's thumb over the years. The series record's now 18-3. It always spices it up for that opponent. Don't think West Virginia looked past them in any way, shape, or form. Just kind of write that off as a bad day offensively. Special teams did their job. Defense did what they had to do to find a way to win. Time, I mean that fumble and scoop and score at the end to seal it was really on icing on the cake for that defense, because defensively at times they made Sorsby look like Johnny Manziel out there, kind of put linebackers in one-on-one situations, and he did. I don't know if he's just deceptively fast, but had some moves and even faked out Josiah Trotter, and I could see Trotter closing in on him there in the middle on that touchdown run, and it was just kind of like that shouldn't happen to Trotter, but some days, some guys that you kind of depend on are just going to have bad days. Maybe it was just an early morning game on the road, whatever it was. Some of those guys, they're kind of silly out there, and you know, Cincinnati has 11 scholarship players on the field as well, and I guess that's going to tend to happen. But uh, didn't think they went conservative at the end. Thought they were just flat. Tried to do some things there to seal it. Nico threw that interception there when they could have put the final nail in the coffin. Nico took a lot of responsibility for the offensive flat. He looked really bad in the first half. His accuracy was all over the place. But whatever it is in that red zone, man, he can find those tight windows when he hit Justin Robinson. That was a tight window. Great grab by Justin Robinson, by the way. And that deep pass to Traylon Ray, man, that kid, he's only a sophomore. And you can see it at times. He can be special if the ball's put on time and in play. And really that's where Nico needs to get better at is the timing. He threw that out pattern in the first half to Traylon Ray that was not only off time, but it was way off the mark. Had it been probably on the mark because it was so late, probably would have went for a pick six. So probably trying to get it high to his receiver and just threw it out of the mark. But if he gets it out of the break, it's going to be there. So overall, I think, if you can find a ways to win when you're in your best unit isn't playing well, it's a positive. Again, special teams, Preston Fox coming up big when he's been hampered with an injury, nothing major, but just been kind of down on the injury luck this year. Played definitely a huge part in keeping the field position. Hudson Clement being sidelined with an injury he suffered during the practice definitely didn't help the offense either. So defense comes up big. Offense hopefully gets back on track next week, and hopefully the defense can build on this. Putting that much pressure on the quarterback will definitely give them something to think about this week as they put that on film. And it's going to be curious to see how that evolves, what they're able to do, kind of get into the mind of their opponents the rest of the season. For the fans that are still disgruntled for not putting the game away, look, the fans that were there definitely enjoyed the game. When you can walk out at any place that a program really dislikes you, hates you, and you can walk out there with your head held high with a victory, always take it and run with it and see how this plays out as moving forward. Be sure to follow. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at WVU_SI and follow us on Facebook at West Virginia on SI.